questions that he can answer. Paul is probably one of the more giving individuals I've gotten to know pretty darn well over the last 12 years. So without further ado, Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good. And the ground rules, just like was mentioned there, if you have a question, think of this as a dialogue, not a monologue. So if you have any questions, please jump in, ask your question. Don't wait to the end. Just jump in at the appropriate place. In preparing this, I really thought about, like George said, that I've spoken to this topic over the years. But in terms of how to define your niche, I actually want to flip that and have you think about it this way. Your niche will define you. And by that, I mean, my background was broadcasting. And when I came in, I had some clients in the radio and television business, but I wanted to grow more locally. So I did research around the New Jersey, New York area, and the big employers were pharmaceutical, construction, finance. Those were the three categories. And I knew a little bit about finance, not that much about pharma, and nothing about construction. So then I started about how do I find these people? How do I work with these people? And, that I can share with you. So some of the things that you want to think about in terms of growing your business, and having a niche, I think, is a good thing because it really helps you focus and target your marketing and how you develop those clients. So first thing to grow wherever you're at, Gerard mentioned it's been about 12 years, wherever you're at in the development of your business, the first way to grow your business, increase the number of clients. Just get new business, new prospects, okay? That's pretty obvious. The second way is to increase the average transaction. I always say, would you like fries with that? So you get each client to buy more at each purchase. And of course, that's where the depth of services and products that we have to offer really comes in handy as you build the relationship. And then the third way is increase the frequency that the average client buys from you, get each customer to buy more often. So again, as you develop that relationship, you find challenges, problems, issues inside that client's business that you can help with. What number two, to me, also means over time, you can increase the fees that you charge. That's another way to grow your business. So that's a positive outcome. How do you get all this? Well, when I started with those three that I mentioned, finance, construction, pharma, I just started calling. I kind of looked at different directories, found what was in the area, and then I just started reaching out and contacting people through what we call cold calling. You can network. You've probably heard about BNI, LaTip, all your local chamber of commerce, the Optimist Club, all the different organizations that you can join and get to know others, get them to know you through networking. Your website, social media, directories, different ways to promote yourself. I think trade publications come about when you do develop a niche. So in that story, the niche that I developed was construction. And as I got deeper into that business, I found things like this, the UTCA, Utilities Transportation Contractors Association, which is exposed to about 1,400 different contractors in the state of New Jersey. They are a very important relationship to me and a vehicle. And then through those targeted accounts and niche, you start attending special events, trade shows. So I found that construction companies don't necessarily play golf. Some of them do, but most of us go out and shoot and break things. As you see here, this is a shooting thing that's set up very much like a golf course. You drive around in a golf cart, but you stop at these different stations and then you break skeet. So it's a lot of fun. And, you spend 3 or 4 hours with these people, you certainly get to know them quite well. I mentioned social media, LinkedIn and social media. That's, to me today, probably one of the biggest engines we use to continue to grow our business. It's a big part of what I do. And that's my wife, Teresa Merrill. She's really a LinkedIn social media expert, and she's been a tremendous asset in the growth of my business. Then you can have targeted direct response advertising, telemarketing, email. I do use constant contact on an ongoing basis to remain top of mind. Of course, seminars, speaking engagements, anytime I can get invited to speak in front of a group. And how does that come about? Usually my clients. I just actually had a call on Friday from one of my construction companies, and it's a WBE, and it's women. And she called and said she attended an event and she thought of me. She said, thought I would be excellent to speak at that event. So she said, would you be interested? And I said, well, let me think about it. Of course. So obviously these are great ways to become known. And at any event, whether it's 30, 300, 3,000, there's never a time that I've spoken that I haven't had business come out of that event. So they're pretty high on my radar if you can do it. Referrals. Now we're getting close into what I call the center of influence. And that's where your niche can really benefit you. Because if you become targeted and you become known in an industry, you will develop raving fans. You will develop, through your work, people who not only believe in what you do, but they want to recommend you to others. So starting in construction, heavy construction, pretty big companies that I've been working with, I've realized as a center of influence, every one of those companies has vendors to them. They use electricians, they use concrete guys, they have equipment where they buy their vehicles and trucks. So all of those relationships are significant to me because as a center of influence, it enables me to continue to branch through those relationships that I would be referred to, introduced to, high degree of trust. I'm sure any referrals that you've had in your business, it's 95% of the times you're going to do business. If somebody refers you, it's the best way to open up and begin a relationship. And therefore, it's all about relationships. So when I said in the beginning a few minutes ago, your niche defines you, I believe it's where you establish these relationships. That is your niche. And so over the years in the construction, it wasn't apparent to me right away. And by the way, we've done projects in pharmaceutical, we've done projects in finance. However, the real home run was construction. And construction was the core 3 or 4 relationships that I developed over that time with trust, a deep belief in terms of what I do for them and the value I bring. And Gerard knows I sent a couple of these out. Recently, in the past couple of months, I've begun a campaign where I've asked some of these clients, could we come in, spend a day in your office and videotape you and your people that have gone through the coaching process, strategic planning, whatever the process that we did with you. We'd like to capture that in your own words. And let me tell you, it was fantastic. It's the best investment I ever made. And I have right now about 12 hours of video in the can, and I'm starting to roll these out in the way of 60-second, 90-second vignettes with my clients speaking, and occasionally I'll say a few words, but mostly it's them. And the power of that is fantastic. And the way you can use it, I'm starting on social media, but again, last week I had an account that commercial real estate in the city in Manhattan, and I thought I did well, but then after I left, the guy went dark for a couple of weeks. Didn't return my calls, didn't respond to the emails, and that sinking feeling where maybe that's not going to come through. So what I did was take one of these video clips, send it in an email attached, and said, hey, Larry, want to get back? What's a good time to connect with you? Check out this comment from some of my clients. He called 60 minutes after I sent the email, and hopefully we're back on track. I should have word this week, but there's a multitude of ways that you can use that vehicle. And it comes about through the niche, defining your niche. So you've heard this before. People don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. And when you have a center of influence, you really are coming in. I think of myself as the doctor, and my client expressed that you have a pain, and I'm here to identify what's causing that pain. And we have a dialogue, and it generally leads to business. So this is a way to use the niche combined with centers of influence to grow your business. Paramount that you're developing these 5-star recommendations, satisfied customers, customer loyalty. You got to hit it out of the park each and every time. I don't get on the phone, or I don't go out of here unless I'm prepared to hit a home run every time. Because it's not just this client, it's not just this project, it's everything that I've shared with you here about developing a center of influence. So here's something else for you to think about. And I've developed this over time. And that is, you probably, if you think of the business you've done over the years, that did you ever wonder why you're more successful with some clients than others? And maybe you've identified some things. I don't think it's just the industry or business. I really think it's the individuals and it's the relationship. So this is what I call an ideal customer profile. And I would encourage you to develop your own unique ideal customer profile, because it should speak to the issues that are important to you. So I'll share with you some of the things I think about. I'm sorry, here's the way you do it. So if you have a piece of paper, a yellow pad in front of you, you could take that yellow pad and turn it sideways, turn it horizontal. And on the right-hand side, just put best at the top. And I'd like you to list the names of your best customers. Just go ahead, list a few. It shouldn't be hard. Probably get 3 or 4 pretty quickly. Just their names. You can just put down the first name, whatever, just so you know who it is. Okay. Now I want you to go to the left-hand side of that piece of paper, and now you're going to list your worst customers. And I want you to list, since you're alone, I don't see you with anybody else there, you don't have to worry about identifying who this is. And this, I often see that it comes easier for people to list their worst customers, because certainly some images, some people, a name is going to pop into your head. So just write it down real quickly on the left-hand side. Who are your worst customers? By the way, they don't have to be current customers. I mean, in the lifetime of your career, your worst customers. You know who they are. They no doubt come back to you. Maybe in nightmares, I don't know. Now, go back to the right, to the best, and just quickly list what are some of the characteristics that are unique to the best. What is it about them that makes them your best customers? What is it that they do, they have? What is it about them? Visualize each person and then write down the characteristic that's unique. If I'm going too fast, raise your hand, shout out. Because now I'm going to have you go back to the left-hand side and do the same thing with your worst customers. What are their characteristics? What is it about them? What did they do? What didn't they do? What are the characteristics that really obviously bother you. Now you're on the way. In the center, you're going to have a column in the center, which are the key characteristics of your ideal customer. So everything that was on the right, just draw an arrow to the middle. So what was it? Integrity. What is it about those people? Just draw an arrow into the middle to capture that. Okay? So everything that was on your best is going to be your ideal customer profile. The worst, if you haven't captured it from your best, I want you to state it in the opposite of the worst. So if you have in there, not coachable, then obviously coachable would be a characteristic that's important to you. A big one with me is dollar potential. So maybe they don't have the dollar potential. They can't invest in your services. So put that in there, dollar potential, okay? And so you go through, you capture everything from the best, the reverse stated from the worst, and you start to develop an ideal customer profile. And of course, that center column is most significant, and it can be somewhat unique to you. I mean, I'm sure if we compare, there's probably some things that are important. But this is going to be the criteria. For a center of influence, they have to believe in you. Because we just said, they buy you first or they buy nothing at all. So that's very important. Do they believe in you, and do they believe in what you do? So they might believe in you as a person, but do they see value in what you do or what you deliver for them? That value is critical. The other thing you want to look at for the center of influence, are they influential with a significant number of people? I've identified people who are very active in the industry. Interesting, in the last 5 years, every president of the UTCA is a current client of mine. So they are of the highest profile. Everyone in the industry knows who they are. And it just so happens that each one is now a client of mine. Those are key people. That's significant influence when you can spread that in an industry. The other thing is, they believe in you, they significant influence. Are they willing to refer you? Are they willing to provide names and direct you on a regular basis? And I don't often ask, but if it goes a period of time and we're having a cup of coffee or sitting and chatting, I might say, you know, Joe, is there anyone that you can think of that could benefit from what I just did with your project managers over the last 4 months? Sometimes you have to bring it back to top of mind and ask. And the other thing is, as they give you names, this is not inside sales. They don't have to sell you. All I need is an introduction. So the names given are at least partially qualified prospects, meaning that they know what I do, who I work with, and they kind of filter that so it's not sending me on a wild goose chase. All right. So those influencers are right at the center of this center of influence. So you want to remain engaged. Obviously, your credibility is key. Often, they'll share things with me, give innovation and insights in terms of what's happening in their business, what some of the key issues are. High visibility, which I just described, and access to key audiences, that they are active either in the industry or organizations that could provide that kind of influence. They are influencers. All right. Does this happen organically, or do you have to develop them? What do you think? First of all, it goes back to the trust, and they believe in you. You've noticed I put that at the top every time. That is the cornerstone, is the trust they have in you. It's everything. Think of it. Think of your relationships when you recommend a vendor. Maybe it's somebody who's done work for you around your home, or it's something in your life. What is it about it when you recommend that person? First of all, it's a relationship that's probably valued to you. So you're not going to send a vendor that you don't have complete, absolute trust and confidence in to somebody that's important to you in your life. So that's why this is so critical. They have to deeply believe and trust you before they're going to send you anywhere. And the other thing is, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to build a history of success. And also, when they send you to a project, it's incumbent upon you to keep them informed, keep them apprised as your progress. If I develop a project with somebody that they've sent me to, I keep them posted every step of the way. Not just thanking them, but letting them know what's happening, what phase we're at, where we're at, and so on and so forth. They really, again, think of yourself. I've referred people, and then I've never heard from the person I referred. I don't want to sound harsh, but trust me, that's going to be the last time I'm ever, if I don't hear from you, that's going to be the last time I ever refer to you. So think of it that way. Think of how you would feel about the relationship. And most important in this process is, how do you stay top of mind? The way I use social media and LinkedIn, I probably post 2 or 3 times a day on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my marketing tool. And each day when I get up, I want my clients to be thinking of me. And how do you stay top of mind? Well, you have to stay engaged. You have to give value. You have to provide either information or follow-up data, things that are important to them. If I read things that are happening in the construction business, it might be funding, it might be environmental news, I take and copy that to my key clients. And that lets them know that I'm thinking about them. And if I'm thinking about them, they'll think about me. Again, I want to reiterate, you provide value, keep them informed with your progress. They want to know what's happening. If they refer you to somebody, very important to keep them apprised. And then what I just said to you, provide content that is of value to them. You really have to get inside their minds. Think about, so I read, Harvard Business Review, Forbes, different publications. I stay in touch with what's happening, in the state of New Jersey specifically. And then I pass that information along. And you might say, well, Paul, you think they don't see this? True, that might be redundant. However, it doesn't hurt that they're getting it from me, because it means also I'm thinking of them. So yeah, they may already know the information. It's not that you're giving them breaking news, but it's part of the follow-up. It's part of that top of mind strategy. So if you have a targeted audience, so which is where how to define your niche comes from, it's invaluable, because it enables you to start targeting all of your efforts. Vis-a-vis, I just described the UTCA associations. If you know who you're looking for, you know where to find them, and then you go there. And this Friday in Atlantic City, they'll have about 1,000 of those 1,400 construction companies attending a UTCA Association meeting. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, pretty big event. Now, this weekend I have a conflict. It's my wife's birthday, and we're having our sons and family and so on and so forth. However, Friday morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to drive to Atlantic City to attend the luncheon. They told me that of the people in attendance, about 750 will be at that luncheon. So it might take me 2 hours and 20 minutes to drive down there to spend 2 hours shaking hands and seeing these people. But believe me, it's well worth it. And I seek moments like that all the time. I don't play golf, but they recently had a golf event. So what did I do? I went to the cocktail hour at 5 o'clock, 5:30. I met them as they came in from the course and had drinks, hors d'oeuvres, met a lot of the people. I see all my existing clients. And if you're standing with one of these centers of influence, guess who comes up and talks to them? And when they do, they say, oh, by the way, this is Coach Paul. I'd like you to meet Coach Paul. He works with us, and he's done a tremendous job with our people. You might want to talk to him. That's how it goes. So time invested, spent in the pursuit of the targeted audience. The other thing is, just a quick sidebar, if you've ever heard me speak, I talk about the reticular activator, and I actually Googled this and found, I thought I'll confess, I thought I made it up. I didn't make it up. There actually is a portion of the brain that's called the reticular activator. And all that means is that when you buy a car, and whatever it is, we just got a new Acura MDX. And when you drive it off the lot, what do you start seeing on the highway all around you? By the way, it's silver. So what do I see? I see MDXs silver. Were they there before I got the car? Absolutely. Did I see them? No. And that's the reticular activator. So when you have a niche market, all of a sudden you start to see opportunities that you would have missed without targeting. Another benefit to the niche marketing. Okay, some of these things I've already mentioned. You send articles, news specific, information that's helpful to them. Think about their issues and concern. Remain top of mind. That's the issue. So I've given you some ideas, as we do with our clients. It isn't the strategy. Often it's execution. So this works. And it's a growth strategy that's very powerful, but you need to decide how you're going to apply it. I gave you my story, and I would say the construction industry found me. Even though I did have them somewhat on my radar, I think the relationships and success that I had really developed it as a niche market. So what interests you? Accountants, lawyers, other vendors, consultants, insurance, etc. There's many different ways to go. Need to track some kind of system. Obviously, I've been advocating LinkedIn. Do you have a CRM system like Salesforce? I actually use LinkedIn as a CRM system. I use Constant Contact for my database. And there's many, many others. I'm sure you hear about them when you come to the workshops. The ultimate center of influence, you. And you have to choose to be successful on purpose, decide to execute this on a daily basis, recognize the value that I just shared with you in terms of specialization, and then start to identify who these centers of influences are and call them. Okay? Clients win, you win. Questions? Comments? Gerard, you can unleash them, unmute them there.
I have. I think everybody can talk now. Oh, Virginia muted herself back. She probably realized that I unmuted her and was afraid that should I stop. But yeah, everybody's out there. Jump on it.
Larry, any questions? Liana?
I'm processing. I'm processing and liking this. I think developing that, what really stuck out to me is your RAS, and it's so true. And once you start to narrow it down and you really identify what it is you're looking for, you're going to see it everywhere. And that just really resonates.
Good. That's a very important step in the process.
Yeah.
I was working with several construction companies, and actually I had a project that took me to Michigan. So I had to go to fly to Grand Rapids and then drive north. I forget the name of the town. It was on Lake Michigan, and it was in January. So I came back to the airport, and I had to wait until Saturday morning to fly out. And I sat in the hotel, and I took a yellow pad because I hit a home run. It was a 3-day workshop, and I hit a home run. They loved what I did. I already had several back here in New Jersey. And it was the moment that you're talking about, the RAS. And it was, okay, why am I being successful with these people? What is it about? First of all, I like them. I think they're salt of the earth, fun to work with, really down to earth, decent people. And I thought, okay, what else? What is it that's happening here? And I took that yellow pad and I started listing what I just shared with you as the ideal customer profile. And that was my aha moment. It was then that I realized, wait a minute, this is a target. This is a niche that I should immerse myself into. What else do I need to do? So when I came back, I started investigating the UTCA and other things. But you're absolutely correct for putting your finger, Leona, on that particular point, because that's your decision. Sometimes it's not. It could hit you right in the face and you don't see it. So you have to really think about this, and you have to step back.
Yeah, thank you.
Good observation. If you have other thoughts or comments or questions, obviously, there I am, mobile number, text me, email, information's available. You can search that online.
Paul,
yes.
This is, I liked just the simplicity of how you approached identifying your ideal client. I mean, I've seen so many complicated ways to do it. And I just really like the simplicity of it and getting to it very quickly.
Yeah, your best customers, your worst customers.
Right.
And boil it down. Yeah. And I'll share with you, I didn't give them here, but several of mine is dollar potential. I do look at that as I grow my business. I don't want to say I'm lazy, but I find that last year I had 14 clients. If I can make more and do less, I'm excited about that. And how do you do that? You develop big clients. So that's the first thing, dollar potential. Second thing is integrity. I, at this point in my life, cannot be bothered by people who lie, fail to show up, make excuses. I have zero tolerance. That's a non-negotiable issue. Another one is coachable. Are they coachable? You probably have experienced it. There are some people that are not receptive to this. I years ago had a guy say to me, he said, I like my life. I like where I'm at, and I don't want to change anything about myself. Well, what do you think I could do to help a person like that? Not a lot. All right. So are they coachable? Those are some key things with me. And you should have very personal issues that come into play. The fourth one is growth. Are they invested in and interested in growing themselves, which is kind of related to coachable, and growing their business? probably the most common expression I listen for is, Paul, we want to take our business to the next level. When I hear that, I'm thinking this is the right person. So those are some of the things that I've developed over the years that I listen for. You don't get all five stars on those. You know, sometimes a client will be 4 or a 3, but you know, you add them up, and it's so predictable. In the beginning, I took projects where I knew it was a stretch, where I was dealing with a 2, and how do you think that turned out? Not well, right? So you just remember those and say every time you try to stretch to make it work, better to get closer to that ideal customer profile. There is no such thing as an ideal customer, but the closer you can get to it, the more success you're going to have. And you're right; it's pretty simple if you break it down, you know, with what I just gave you. Anything else?
Paul, I thank you. It was very valuable. I think to mirror what Virginia was just talking about, just even that little simple exercise of creating that ideal middle category, I think is great. So I appreciate all your feedback and all your insight. We will did record this, so if there's any of the pieces that you want to go back in, I know a couple of you guys also were having some trouble getting in earlier, so if you wanted to go back and see the beginning of it, we'll be able to do that. We'll post it onto the affiliate website.
Gerard, will the Zoom meeting ID be the same for all of them, or are you going to have a different ID number?
Virginia, you always love giving me the tough questions.
I think it's different, Virginia.
I think it is, but hold on one second.
Okay.
I know.
Then I won't bother to put it in my calendar.
I think you have to create it each time, George.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
It will be a different number each time. Now, when you go onto the affiliate website, the
Yeah,
Network LLC,
I found it. I just missed that we converted to Zoom, so I apologize for being late.
No, not a problem. You are not the only one. Don't worry.
I was calling into the old number.
Yes, everything from now on will be on Zoom, and it'll always be on the front page of the affiliate website.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I shouldn't say tomorrow. In the next 2 days, the link to be able to watch this one will go up there, and the information for the next event, which is on the 8th of October with Michael Harbaugh, who some of you know that name. He's been around for quite some time from down in Mississippi. His biggest problem is his biggest client is a small car manufacturer named Nissan, and keeps him very, very, very busy around the country. So, but we're going to get him to come in and do one of these. We'll be done via Zoom. All the login information will be there, posted up there in the next couple of days, but that'll be on the 8th of October. Alrighty.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys all very much. Have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the upcoming week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Right. I saw a PAN with the affiliate website, so I just need to get that in.
Thanks, Paul. I'll talk to you later this week, I'm sure.